Floor, an extension of Five on the Floor on the Five Reasons Sports Network. Thanks for joining us. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. We're going to get you ready for Heat Hornets tonight with a quick show. We know it's NFL Championship game weekend, so a lot of people have forgotten that this game is actually occurring today, including some on our crew, which is why we're a little bit short-staffed today. We got our producer, Alejandro Villegas. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick at Five Reasons Sports. And we got Timothy Bain over there. You can follow him at Timmy with all the A's. All right, let's get to it. Heat Hornets today. The Heat are now 7 games over 500, or 6 or 7. I'm sorry, 28 and 22. So my math is bad. 28 and 22 with a chance. 6. Thank you. So there's 6 games over 500.
You have a chance to get the 7. You have a chance.
Well, the chance. I don't want to jinx it for everybody. Everybody get upset at me, but they are playing one of the worst teams in the league today, and a team that is. I don't know that they were intentionally tanking at the beginning of the season, but it sort of turns out that way. And now
it was LaMelo's injury. Those first 5 weeks just tanked them.
Yeah,
for lack of a better word.
Yes, for lack of better talent. So Michael Jordan's team heading back to the lottery and likely again going to be in the Wemby sweepstakes here and the Scoot sweepstakes as we go forward. So this is a game the Heat can't play around with. We've discussed these kind of games before. Look. Whatever issues they may have, and Kyle Lowry's scoring struggles continue. Tyler Hero's not shot the ball the past 2 games, but they do have Jimmy and Bam playing at a high level at this stage, and really that should be enough. So let's just talk about. I mean, 1 o'clock games sometimes on the road can be a little challenging too. You never know how that's going to play out. Not that Charlotte is, I've been in Charlotte.
There's no fear of the Charlotte flu. There's
not. There's one little party headquarters, and they've got a piano bar and a couple other clubs, and that's about it. So Timmy, I think they're going to be okay today. But what are you looking for?
I posted in that chat. I think the league needs a drug test. Mason Plumlee is putting up wild numbers in the month of January, and we know one of the weakest spots the Heat has had is a back center position. But Plumlee is such a weird player, Plumlee averages 5 assists. He has that very awful shooting form, but he had a game-winning jumper last week. So jokes aside, when he used to play for the Nets, I thought he was probably the best backup center in the NBA, and I do like him. Maybe he's a backup for the Heat, but as I play him today, Plumlee is a handful because he I don't know if Robertson has had to defend a player who has had the ball in his hands as much time. So I don't want Brown getting too much foul trouble because I could see Mason Plumlee doing all of the bag of trips in Orlando and getting Orlando in foul trouble, the backdoor cuts. The Mason Plumlee is excellent at the post with no Oubre. PJ Washington has scored after going a career high 17 games in double digits. He's now 5 games in single digits. Of course, the Heat is a slump busting team. But PJ Washington has looked very bad the last couple of days, so they're lacking a lot of punch. Now Melo, I don't know if it's been announced yet. Is he still out? I know he's probable.
So. I'm actually looking for some of this stuff right now.
Right, so they haven't said us yet, but we talk about the Heat's offense, but that offense is disastrous. No Melo, no Oubre. The other McDonald's brother, I know the France likes the McDonald's and the Wolves, but this McDonald's is good as well. They just lack a lot of score and punch. So if they can come early and just get the first punch, this is another team that's going to fight back. But again, if LaMelo plays, it's a whole different ball game with his creativity. He just gets the offense running. But
Timmy, here's the thing about LaMelo. Even if he does play, LaMelo, with the exception of one recent game, has not shot the ball well against Miami at all. In fact, his lowest shooting numbers typically come against the Heat. So I was going to say to play him under on Prize Picks. And we should mention our 2 sponsors here, so we'll do that as we go forward. Go to Prize Picks, use code 5, FIVE, get the initial deposit matched up to $100. I just played Bam on the over on points, rebounds, and assists. I think it's 36.5 today. So give me a 20, 21, 12, and 4 game, and he's there. I think he gets there today. Also, they're giving away a free Joe Burrow square. Joe Burrow throws for 1 passing yard today. You win. So throw that in there because I would assume in Burrowhead he's going to throw for at least 1 yard. Go to Prize Picks, use the code 5, get your initial deposit matched up to $100. And, of course, you can pair the NFL and NBA and NHL and all of the other sports together. Just download it from prizepicks.com. That's the easiest way to do it, or go to the Apple App Store Google Play Store. You find it. Also, we do want to mention our friend Mark Brown. Go to markbrownpa.com. Mark can help you with your estate plan. He also can help you if you need your closing done. He has a title company right there in-house. So go to Mark Brown, M-A-R-C, Brown, PA.com. All right, so as we look at the rest of this matchup today, Kelly Oubre, who has basically been Charlotte's best player today, is out. Cody Martin.
For at least 3 more weeks.
Right, 3 more weeks. Cody Martin is out. You mentioned him. It appears that it says Dennis Smith is a game-time decision at this point. But look, they're under-talented. You mentioned that the offensive problems. The line is really low in this game. It's 208. If you go to Better Edge, you might want to play that one under, even with it being so low. I take a look at the other games that they played against them. Typically there's been one Charlotte shooter that's gotten off against them. Of course, Malik Monk is not there anymore. So, again, I don't want to focus too much on this particular game. I want to focus on what this means going forward because, we see, that the Heat, they're in position at this point, all right, to get as close as the 4 seed. I mean, they have a game against Cleveland on Tuesday, which is significant. And, that one's going to matter. We know that the Heat have not played well against their bigs typically. So, but I look at it this way, like they're in position to like put themselves in like the 4 or striking distance of the 4, which I think the reason that's important is it puts pressure on the front office. I actually think, everybody's like, well, if they're playing poorly, then they're going to blow it up. I actually think it's the other way. And I'm not saying they're going to blow it up, but I think they're more likely to make a significant transaction if they're playing well, reasonably well. I know that that's counterintuitive to the way Heat fans are looking at it, but if they're playing reasonably well, I think that the organization will be like, okay, all right, we can take someone in a first-round series. We can maybe take someone in a second-round series if we add the right piece. Would that be the way you would look at it?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, on many pods these last 2 weeks, I didn't expect that 2 weeks before the deadline, the Heat would be in a groove, above 500. I thought it would have been like 1 game up, 1 game down, 1 game up. Like I thought it was going to be – the Heat haven't played 500 ball, even though I've on record saying I think this is a 500 team. The Heat have not been playing 500 ball the last 2-3 weeks. And yes, I know that they've only played like maybe 2 or 3 good teams in that stretch. It doesn't matter. You take care of what you take care of, and they have. Bam looks great. Jimmy looks great. Larry looks bad.
Please just skip over that.
Larry looks bad, but Spo isn't forcing him in the fourth quarter. This is like with the 5th fourth quarter he's played none of or some of. So, Spo isn't too stubborn in this rotation. Depot has presented some type of option. Gabe Vincent is probable today with some right ankle stiffness. So I hope he doesn't look too stiff in the game. But the Heat has something there's now things you can build on. And, just a month ago, it was too, and you said this a lot, there was too many things wrong to pick one player or one thing to fix. Now there are some things like, okay, if I shift this, I can do that. So I think we're basically 10 days away from the deadline. And I'm just going to mention it because it just came up. I saw something floated like, would the Heat really want Sexton and Gay for Duncan in the pick? Like, who knows? I don't know if I want Sexton and Hero on the same team on the same floor at the same time.
Jonathan's here.
Jamaican food hit my low intestines like Sami Zayn hit Roman Reigns last night.
I was gonna say, there we go. Well, 11 minutes late, just in time for a pick. Yeah, I mean, as Timmy was talking about, you look at the standings right now, and you are a game and a half back of the Cavs, who you play Tuesday. So you could be within striking distance to tie them on Tuesday, depending on how things go here over the next couple of days. You are now clear of the Knicks. You're clear of the Hawks, even though the Hawks had a recent hot streak. You're pretty clear of the Pacers at this stage. I mean, the Pacers are going the other direction. They've lost a couple in a row. You don't take the Wizards seriously, even though they won 5 in a row. Don't take the Wizards seriously. And the Bulls, they're more likely to go the other direction, and as are the Raptors. So, I mean, the one big concern, and we're probably going to close out here pretty soon, but like Jonathan, the one big concern I think we had was, can they stay out of the play-in? They're going to stay out of the play-in. Like, I don't think there's really any danger here unless Jimmy or Bam goes out for a significant amount of time for them to end up in the 7 or the 8 or something like that. They're going to be in the 6 through maybe 3 range. I mean, they're 4.5 behind the Bucks, but I think the more likely scenario is they're going to be somewhere between 4 and 6 when this thing plays out. And if they can fortify, I don't see a team in the East that is like, okay, the Heat are certainly not, impenetrable, but I don't see a team in the East and I'm like, okay, they can't beat them in the playoffs. There's no way, no how. Not if they add a piece.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're looking at the way the seedings are just right now, obviously the team you'd want to avoid the most in the first round would be the Milwaukee Bucks. So ideally, looking at the 4 or 5 seed, getting that matchup would be the best case scenario. You match yourself up with somebody like either Brooklyn or Cleveland, depending on who plays better. It's looking like Brooklyn right now if Kevin Durant returns with good health. And I think that first, or maybe if you get a second round matchup with Boston, that's a matchup that we've played out over the last couple of years. And, we have the formula to beat that team. And like you said, if we add a piece, it makes it a lot easier for us to beat that team. So I think now with Miami coming in after the beginning of the season and having such a down beginning of the season and having someone with doubt, so much, fall from the expectations. Now you have guys like Victor Oladipo stepping up. Now you have the team, a couple games above 500, not just fighting to be at 500. And we're in a position to where if we get that 4 or 5 seed and we play our cards right, we can make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, right? This is actually a legitimate path for this team, given all of the garbage that we've been through this team and the lack of play from some of the players. Like, we have not been shooting the 3 well, and we're still somehow
horrible. It's actually surprising that you could shoot this by a professional basketball player.
But to that point, then, I mean, this is where, as we're going to do a lot of transaction episodes over the next week, this is where you kind of pivot here a little bit, because you're like, all right, yes, you need a big. I don't think there's any question they need a big. Orlando Robinson's been okay, though. Like, I mean, and you might be getting Yurt back. So,
really? I had missed that. I thought he was out for the season.
No, you're not out for this whole season. You might, we might be looking at March. It's possible you might get him back. And so I'm looking at it. I'm saying they need a shooter more than anything else.
Right. Like, and then my question too, Ethan, with the days, the 2 ways, by the middle of March, you will have to either cut Kane and Robinson or sign for the season. So do you do clear some cap to be able to retain these guys?
They may. All I'll say is the same thing I said about Caleb last year when this came up, is when I talked to people inside the organization, and they said, would you stop worrying about that? Like, they have a plan for that. I'm going to throw out one stat here. What are we at? We're at 50 games through the season, right?
Yep.
28 and 20, 22? The 2006 champions were 23 and 17 at this point. So this team is tracking. Now, this team does not have Dwayne Wade in his prime.
That's 40. That's
what's that?
10 game. 20.
That's
I screwed that up. 30 and no, forget I said anything. My math is bad this morning. 30 and 20. Jonathan, you missed my math accident before. You're not supposed to correct me. You're not the host today. 30 and
I'm
20.
brown. It runs in my genes. For that
I understand. I'm Jewish. You're supposed to run in mine. 30 and 20 through 50 games. We do control the world, right? Is that what everybody says? I don't know. It doesn't feel like it. 30 and 20 through 50 games. That team. I just want to look at one more though, because this is the better comparison, because this team is reminding me somewhat of this other team. The 15-16 team, the team that, of course, Chris Bosh got sick at the All-Star break, but they had all that talent. 20 and 22 through 50, same. So that's the team I keep comparing this to. That team got on a run in the second half with a couple of tweaks. In that case, it was losing their best player, Chris Bosh, who was their best player at that point, probably a nudge ahead of Dwayne, and that ended up leading to Luol Deng moving to the 4, signing Joe Johnson, and making it to the second round of the playoffs, 7th game before they lost. So anyway, let's get to the picks today. I mentioned on Prize Picks, I'm playing Bam over 36.5 points, assists, and rebounds. I am never touching the Kyle Lowry props again. I went over on 9.5. David Eversole points. David Eversole went over on 4.5 assists. We both lost the last game. I'm not touching Kyle Lowry props ever again. I see on there, though, that Bam's at 21.5 points. Would anybody take it over today?
Mason Plumlee and my guy Kai Jones and Nick Richards. Yeah, man, for sure.
Charlotte's bottom 10 in defensive points in the paint. So, with Bam having that, it's kind of like a little bit of best of both worlds there. I think Bam gets over on that.
Okay. Tyler Hero at 20.5 points. Playing it?
On every pregame, I've picked the Tyler's over in the last 2 weeks, and I've been wrong every time. So I'm going to go against the grind and actually say under, because he's in the funk right now.
All right, I'm not touching any of the Charlotte stuff. I did mention that Joe Burrow, half a passing yard. So if you play Prize Picks, go now, play the Heat use the Burrow prop. It's a free square. Okay, use the code 5FIVE. Heat win by 15. The spread is less than this. I'm going to get 15. Can they get a blowout on the road today, Jonathan?
I do think they can get a blowout on the road today. Charlotte's one of those teams that they're not necessarily phenomenal offensively either, right? Like
Right.
the comeback down from what LaMelo Ball has brought to that team as far as it's a spark is just not there anymore. Like they don't play like the team we had last year, and I think that's because the scouting report's out now, right? We see what LaMelo can do for that team, and we're able to play it a little bit better. So I think
I
this is
also
one of
think
those
I think he's rushed back. I think he's nowhere near as healthy as he should be. He doesn't look as his same spark, you know. I could see after they ship off, because there's a rumor of a fire sale. I can see they're shipping off benching LaMelo for the rest of the season, because it doesn't make sense. You know how sprains go. Like a sprain can last you for months and months if you don't let it rest. So I could see them rest them and just give it Dennis with the keys.
Well, just say the real reason they're going to rest him. I mean, come on.
Woeful for Wemby.
Right, exactly. I mean, there's only one way to revive that franchise. I mean, really. I mean, with Jordan running it, there's only one way. They need to luck into a top lottery pick. I'm with Jonathan today. I actually think the Heat win this one fairly comfortably. That's the only concern I have about playing anybody over today. I have a feeling that they may not go in the fourth. Look, every time we've said that this team has crossed the threshold here, they fall back. I understand that. I get it. But it does feel like something's a little different this time. Just it feels like they kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel here, and I think they're going to get clarity here at the trade deadline in 9 days. That's always helpful, because I think it does wear on players, not just the players who may get traded, most of whom are not even in the Heat rotation right now, with the exception of Kyle Lowry, but also, the players who want a trade because they feel like they need more reinforcements. That may be an energizing factor for guys like Jimmy in particular, and also Bam. So let's see how that plays out. All right, thanks to Jonathan. Thanks to Timmy. Thanks to our sponsors, PrizePicks. Use the code 5, markbrownpa.com. Alejandro takes it from here. Post-game show. We will have our usual post-game show here on the channel. We know there's NFC and AFC championship games today. We'll be done before any of that starts, so join us then. Have a good day, everybody.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
From your perspective, what righted the game in the fourth quarter? What finally came around, or what happened then that maybe wasn't happening earlier?
I just think we were grinding, and you're talking about two teams that have probably been playing as well as anybody the last 6 weeks. So you can't just judge a team by their record, overall record, because they're extremely talented. We knew that going in, that this was going to be a challenge, and we would have to compete for 48 minutes hard and do a lot of things right, and be able to weather a few storms, and that's exactly what happened. I thought Caleb and his energy in the fourth quarter really kind of ignited us. He was just doing a lot of little things defensively, on the switches, his activity in the zone at the beginning of the third quarter. His closeouts, got his hands on a couple balls, and then, the ball just finds energy a lot of times, and that's what happened with him. Just getting some key defensive stops and kind of getting some momentum plays going the other way.
Eric, I know there are a lot of things about Gabe and Max that you admire that have made them Heat guys, but their stick-to-itiveness, their mental fortitude, going through adversity this year and pulling through.
For sure. I probably enjoy seeing that as much as anything in this game, showing some fortitude. In this association, it's never going to be just smooth sailing. Even for people that everything's laid out for them and it's going great, at some point you're going to hit some rough seas. And you have to be able to respond to that. You have to be emotionally stable enough just to find a way to contribute to winning. Gabe was really good tonight. And I think his activity level again and his voice. His voice is really important to our team. He has great leadership qualities. And I think if you do the right things, defensively, over and over and over, I think it just translates into a karma energy that you can't put an analytic to on the other end. The ball just seems to find you, and you're in rhythm. and he was able to make some good plays for us on both ends of the court. Max has been playing well as a basketball player to help us, be in a position to win some games. And I know everybody wants to make it just about his three-point shooting, but he's a lot more than just that. In the zone, he was really good, communicating, but also covering up a lot of ground. And then he was creating some very good triggers for us, on catch and shoots. Those were probably our some of our best actions, getting to that part of our menu, and he was able to knock down some off those actions. But the diversity of the menu also, big picture, helps us.
I was waiting for you when you walked in to say the fans got their money's worth.
Yeah,
Again,
right?
because yet again, I feel like you've been asked like 48 times out of 50 games about things being close, but is there a point where a team just decides it's going to be comfortable in that situation?
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say, you're comfortable in these moments. My stomach certainly doesn't feel like that. But our guys, our competitors, they love how that feels in the last 6 minutes of a game if it's a possession game. At times that drives me crazy, but we have a lot of gamers, and look, these aren't easy decisions too. We have some really competitive gamers, that live for those moments that don't always play. I mean, we have a lot of guys that can make big plays down the stretch and have done that, in our uniform. I think, being in so many of these games, at least we don't panic or get sick at sea necessarily when there's some emotional turns, going either way. And then some of the things where you just get repeated reps, you understand what your fourth quarter package is, you understand where the ball needs to go, you understand, how you're going to execute under duress against different coverages, and then different guys stepping up. So those are all encouraging things, as you move forward.
Coach, Caleb and Bam, there was a sequence of plays where they both got kind of back-to-back blocks in that range. It seemed like you guys were doubling on a couple of drives. Was that like a game plan tweak, or was it kind of those guys making reads and helping and making those plays?
Yeah, I mean, as part of that is our system. We just want to try to be as disruptive as possible. That's when we're at our best. So those kind of, traps can happen in a lot of different scenarios, whether they're on drives, pick and rolls, or post-ups. But in those two instances, those were their reads. They have the autonomy to make those decisions in our defensive system. And we really needed that activity. We're at our best, without a doubt, when we're making plays, scrambling around, making multiple efforts, speeding teams up, and at times, putting two on the ball, and then rotating in passing lanes, and then getting deflections. It's a little bit different than some other Miami Heat teams, that we've had.
When Jimmy goes back in, when you finally decide to put him back in the fourth quarter on those things, is there any directive to him, or is it just sort of blatantly obvious, just be Jimmy? In other words, how much is drawn for Jimmy there versus Jimmy just knowing what to do?
The first one, because at the beginning of the third quarter, I thought there was potential that we could have turned that into a 10-point game. And I wanted to give that team, that unit, an opportunity to see if they could extend that lead. Once it got to 6 minutes, that's where it gets a little bit trickier. And to be frank, Jimmy just walked to the score table because he and I have an understanding it's usually around just under 8. But we let it ride. Then I forgot about it for a second, and he just walked up and he said, "Who am I going in for?" I said, "Well, there's a timeout. Let me figure that out." And then at that point, he understood. He was assertive all night. And then offensively, we're at our best when he's attacking. Bam's attacking, getting 2 feet in the paint, and making whatever play from there. I trust, both those guys to make the right basketball play. They're just, so poised, and they have a balance of being aggressive. Jimmy was so aggressive tonight, that in those swing moments, I think that aggressiveness just kind of always created that separation for us.
And then Kyle hasn't played the fourth quarter the last 2 games. Is that because of injury, because of rest, because of fatigue, or what's
Well,
the
the
background
last
there?
game, the second unit really took over, and they deserved to play that out. I wouldn't look into it, more than that. Just, what is it, 3 games ago? Sometimes there's recency bias, right? He had all the big plays against New Orleans down the stretch. We have a lot of guys, like I said, that live for those moments, and that's what I love about this group. But also that sometimes not everybody can be in at the end, and I have as much respect for Kyle and his pedigree in those moments over the course of his career. He's one of the biggest clutch players in this game. So I wouldn't look into it, more than that.
You're going to be seeing Banchero quite a bit over the next few years.
Yeah.
What were your first impressions of him, both for how he handled what you threw at him and what you guys were able to throw at him?
Yeah, he's poised. He's big, he's skilled. He can do a lot of, things that we were developing, 10 years ago in terms of, a guy handling, a guy in the post, a guy setting screens and creating a pocket. They have a lot of really talented, big players. I guess if you have 13 first-round draft picks and 8 lottery picks, you're going to get some talent, with a team.
Last question. Over the last few games, you guys have pretty much won almost every box score category. Has that been sort of even more of an emphasis while you sort of just kind of wait for the 3-point shooting to click?
No. Well, we know what our KPIs are, doesn't mean we get to it as consistently as that coach wants us to, but we know exactly what our winning blueprint is, for this group, how we need to defend with that kind of disruptiveness, and then offensively, how we need to be aggressive and attack. Our KPIs really have nothing to do with our 3-point shooting. It'd be great, but that's not really moving the needle, whether we're winning or losing in terms of a lot of other things. Okay.
I'm tired of shit. Appreciate you, champ. You're the MVP sometimes.
It seems like every game, it hasn't been every game, but it seems like every game is like a one-possession game with a minute to go. Is there a point where a team just decides it's going to be comfortable in that situation? Because you guys have been in them probably more than any team on the planet, it seems like, this season.
I don't know if we just like dogfights. I don't know if we just want to make it interesting. But it's one of those things where, for me, it's every game is more like a lesson for us. We have all these games, and then you get in the moment of truth in the playoffs or, down the road where you really need a game, and it's a close game, and we've been there before multiple times. And I feel like it doesn't do anything but help us in the future.
Sticking with those close games, how has your late game offensive package changed or evolved over the past year, if it has at all?
For the team or me? Well, for me, obviously, I shoot the ball a lot more. But, for the team, it's just we got a couple plays where we know, we got a couple bad plays that go sideways in the fourth. We got these where it get us settled, get us in our spots, and we can get something good.
Bam, you and Jimmy combined for close to 20 free throw attempts tonight. I guess just how does that change the shot quality? I guess the offense in general. Do you notice?
I mean, when we're getting to the line, it makes it easier for everybody else to catch a breath and get their win. So, and then it puts the other team in foul trouble, and we're just gonna keep doing it. I I don't mind doing it. It don't bother me. But it just gets us in a rhythm, gets us going, and then, the flow of the game just comes to us.
All right, we'll take one from Zoom. Christos Saltis, go ahead.
Hey, Bam, congrats on the win, first of all. Speaking about the defense, the defensive effort of your team, how proud, how satisfied you are about the steps forward that you made game by game?
I think we're in January, we're top 5 in defense. Yeah, so, we're making strides there from in the beginning of the season we was the bottom of the list. So just keep building on that. We're gearing up to try to be the number 1 defense in the league. And, we just keep chipping and battling and fighting back. Black Lives Matter, people. See your ass in
Caleb, was it you or was it the moment that sort of provided the motivation to energize at that moment of the fourth quarter? It just seemed like you had a little extra hop in your step that translated to the rest of the team.
Yeah, I just think that, I had a couple shots that I missed early on, and I just lately haven't really been knocking down open shots like I was supposed to be. So I just think that just taking on a mental challenge, just staying engaged and just, trying to bleed life into other guys because, there's a couple frustrating points in the game and a couple of times that we should have extended the lead, but we didn't. So just, I understand that's going to be my role to try to give to others. And, some days it works more than others, but today it worked.
Obviously, you tried to miss as little time as possible, but you did have the quad, but you still have the quad.
Yeah.
What's it been like when you're an energy player who relies on athleticism and all that, and part of your body is saying, what's that got to be like?
It's tough. It's challenging mentally just because, like you said, it's you hang heavy on that part of your game, especially for my role. So it's a battle mentally a lot of times, but sometimes it bleeds into my play in terms of staying confident.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you just gotta muster that up mentally and just kind of get past that. And it's gonna be an obstacle. Everybody kind of goes through their own version of that. So it's not really an excuse. So I just gotta try to come in and do what I can and what my body allows me to do.
Caleb, does it impact you most from a mobility standpoint, from a pain standpoint? What's the biggest impact that it has on you?
Definitely both. I feel like just mobility wise, it's tough getting that extra push around guys, getting that first quick step to not even worry about the guy who closes out. I'm getting stuck on body sometimes a little bit more than I'm used to, and so just trying to adjust to being a tad bit slower and stuff right now. And today's the best I felt, and I feel like the last probably like week and a half, 2 weeks. So hopefully I just keep trending in that direction, and I'm gonna keep working with the medical staff, and I'm gonna just keep giving what I got.
You seem to be passing up open threes, no offense.
Hmm?
Is that because you're not fully sure of yourself? Because it seems like a lot of times you're passing it but open, and at least not as good a shot for you sometimes.
No, for sure. Something that's part of it too is just, like I said, that's just part of the mental battle of just staying confident and just shooting shots that are open. And because that's what Coach preaches all the time. Whenever you pass open shots like that, they tend to lead to bad shots. So I just gotta continue to fight through that and just shoot myself out the sun.
And what's it? I mean, this Twins thing with you and your brother's remarkable, but now with injuries also. I mean, do you almost commiserate with each other going through these rough times? I know Cody's going through it also.
Yeah, we chances are one of us is dealing with something, the other one's already dealt with it. So he's I feel like he does a great job of giving me advice on certain things because he's been through it and vice versa. So he's definitely an outlet I use very often when I'm battling that stuff mentally. But I had my people in town, I had great conversation and great time, and sometimes you just need a little bit of distraction to get back to doing what you do. So I think today was a great step in the right direction.
Great, good for you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for making the time.
Thanks.